We'll start with Scottie Scheffler, and though it is relatively early in the big championship season, it is reasonable to wonder what he might do. So good has he been. Single season slam. Before you say slow down, Rich, consider that the odds makers have that at a staggering 40-1. Single season slam. Same odds attached to Wyndham Clark, Victor Hovland, and Patrick Cantlay to win this week, and they're all top 8 in the world. So 40-1. Not an outrageous long shot to touch them all. With more, we welcome Todd Lewis. Todd?
Hi there, Rich. The rain is falling here in Louisville, but the sun is shining in Scottie Scheffler's world. He's had some life-changing moments recently, and I'm not talking about his 4 victories in his last 5 starts on the PGA Tour. Instead, his wife Meredith giving birth to the couple's first child last Wednesday, a baby boy. And during those unforgettable moments, Scottie took some time to not only look ahead into his future as a father, but also to reflect in regards to the past, having an attitude of gratitude. And today, he shared some of those thoughts.
I mean, as far as my career goes, I think it was just a little bit of just kind of thankful times, mostly. Like I said, I'm sitting there with Meredith, and we started dating in high school, and I think at a lot of the time we still feel like children. And so to be sitting at home, awaiting the birth of our child and then bringing our child home was definitely a very interesting feeling, because I think sometimes we both see just the kid in each other, and being responsible for another life form is a pretty interesting thing for us to be responsible for. But yeah, I think that's mostly what it was, just being thankful of where our lives have gone and where this game of golf has taken us, and it was definitely nice. I can't really describe the feeling of dreaming of just coming and playing on the PGA Tour, to be sitting at home, with a girl I dated in high school, with our child, and then the green jacket sitting in the closet, is a pretty insane feeling. And I just wanted to be as thankful as possible. But I think the human heart is always striving for more, and the competitiveness in me is it doesn't really allow me to reflect really that much. Yeah, I've been playing pretty good. I've had some weeks where my swing didn't feel 100%, and I was able to make up for it with the putter. And then I had some weeks where maybe I wasn't holding a ton of putts, and I was able to make up for it with my ball striking. And I feel like I'm in a good headspace. Does anything stand out to me? I'm not really sure. I think I've just been playing some really good golf, and this game's funny. Sometimes you get good breaks, and sometimes you get bad breaks, and yeah, I think it's just a really difficult sport, and sometimes it can seem really easy, and then sometimes it can seem pretty tough. And the last couple months, it seems like it has felt fairly easy at times. And I think as a professional, I think that's always what you're striving for, and it's been nice to see some of the benefits of the work that I put in, and see some results on the course as well.
Now, after winning the RBC Heritage, which was Scottie's last start, he told me that he went back home to Dallas, started practicing and playing as if he was getting ready for another tournament, but of course slowed down right before the birth of his son. However, after spending some enjoyable time as a father, he went right back to work last weekend, working with his longtime swing coach, Randy Smith, at home in Dallas. Flew here on Monday, played a 9-hole practice round yesterday, was back out on the course today. Now, Scottie's caddy, Ted Scott, will not be on the bag for all 4 rounds here at Valhalla. You see, Scott's daughter is graduating high school on Saturday, so after the 2nd round, Ted Scott will fly home to Louisiana for the graduation, and after a bit of a celebration, he plans to fly back to Louisville Saturday night and will be on the bag for the final round. One of Scottie's good friends out on tour, Brad Payne, will fill in for Ted Scott on that Saturday. Now, of course, it'll save Ted Scott a trip if Scottie Scheffler misses the cut here at Valhalla. But as we know, Rich, considering how he is playing, that is unlikely to happen.
Todd, he's the most complete player since prime Tiger. He leads in, and this is preposterous, in 32 statistical categories. Now, earlier today, and thank you, Todd, listening to Tiger, it occurred to me that Tiger would be a great analyst if he ever wanted to sit in the booth. Ask him about negotiations with PIF. You don't get a whole lot. But on the game that he has mastered, he goes, and he's good. Here's Tiger on Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy. Game recognizing game.
Obviously, with Scottie's, what he does through the golf ball and with his footwork, or you have Rory, who has arguably the best finish of his swing, in golf. It looks like a statue, right? They're two totally different players. The commonality is, I think, is the focus, and when you're on the range and watching them hit golf balls, or more so listening to them hit golf balls, there's a different sound to it because they just don't miss the middle of the face. And I think obviously Scottie's not as long as Rory, and he can't probably separate himself on a golf course like that with pure length. But his ball striking, the amount of greens he hits, he just wears you out that way. And then his amazing pair of hands around the greens. If he putts awful, then he finishes in the top 10. He putts decent, he wins. He putts great, he runs away. So he's just that good a ball striker and that good of an all-around player. And Rory, just the way he's able to take over a golf course and just overpower it. I kind of remember that back when I was younger. It's been a while.
Again, I could listen to Tiger talk golf all day long. How sizable are Scottie Scheffler's advantages, Brandel?
You know, when I think about his advantages, I'm reminded of the story of the ostrich that rolled an egg into the hen house and said, "This is what the competition is up to, y'all." Borderline insurmountable, downright intimidating. And it's not just one aspect. You know, when you combine them off the tee approach and around the greens, strokes gained tee to green. You know, what he's doing is only one other person has even come close, and it's the person we were just listening to. And so if we put those numbers together, strokes gained tee to green years, and you look at Tiger Woods' best year ever, and the best year ever in that regard was 2006, when Tiger Woods won 8 times, including the PGA Championship. Of course, last year, Scottie Scheffler had the second best ever. Okay? And he only won twice because he putted abysmally. And the only reason he didn't win the PGA, he lost by 2 to Brooks, was because Brooks so out-putted him. And of course, 2007, Tiger Woods won 7 times and the PGA. Rory McIlroy, 2012, when he won the PGA by 8. Vijay Singh, 9 wins and 1. If you look down there at the bottom, what Scottie Scheffler is doing this year, strokes gained tee to green, would supplant what he did last year. And perhaps he's on the way to be even better than Tiger Woods. So when you look at it and you think about what he does, strokes gained tee to green, and yes, Tiger Woods is spot on. If he does putt decent, if he putts good, it's game over.
Paulie, how do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, look, Brandel's, been talking about this for quite a while, and it's absolutely proved right. His ability to play tee to green is, the only guy we've ever seen that is Tiger at his very height. That's the highest bar that you can talk about in the history of the game, certainly from what we've got from statistics over the years. 25 top 10s in his last 31 events. The guy's dominating. There's no doubt he's in a period of time where he is absolutely the best player in the game. But I want to just add to that, there's one separator that makes Jack different, that makes Tiger Woods different. The separator, the genie in the bottle, is the ability to take that talent that he's got and apply it in competition. And that's what he does so brilliantly. He brings an intensity, a focus, a relentlessness, a minimizing of mistakes at the very, very top level in the heat of battle. He's the lowest bogey count on tour the last 2 years. So it's not just going forward, it's the minimization of mistakes and the ability to not lapse mentally. That's what's so impressive to me. And that's why, combined with what Brandel talks about, his brilliant ability to play the game, the talent, it's the mental thing that really intrigues me. And can he keep that intensity and focus? Because that's the separator for the greats in any sport.
Brandel, Xander Schauffele was in the mix with Scottie Scheffler at the Players, and he wobbled. Max Homa, Ludwig Oberg, Colin Morikawa right there at the Masters with Scottie Scheffler. They came unglued. To what extent do you think Scheffler is in their heads?
Well, look, when somebody has such tangible technical and athletic advantages over you, and they're so outsized and obvious, it's pretty easy to confer upon them intangible qualities that are almost mythical. And a matter of fact, Justin Thomas yesterday made remarks that were sort of in that direction.
Everybody goes in stretches of when it's easier than other times, and you know, I look at Scottie and how he plays, and I think he does that better than anybody in the world. And not only is his golf unbelievable, but that I think has a lot to do with how well he plays, because he just stays in his own world and stays in his process, and no matter what's going on, and he trusts in his ability, kind of thing. So that's, you know, what I'm continuing to work toward for myself.
Actually, that was today, and while gracious and flattering and maybe even true, I don't know from a psychological standpoint if it does you any good to talk about the competitive advantages that your fellow competitor may well have over you. So to what point is he in his head? You know, I talked about this a little bit at the Masters, talked about almost all of these players that have such technical clarity. At some point, they become very intimidating. You know, Nick Faldo doesn't get a lot of credit for it, but a lot of people will say, almost pejoratively, that he won 5 of his 6 majors, so they were handed to him. BS. He was there in the mix and forced the hand of those people around him. They knew he wasn't going to make a mistake, and that's intimidating. Same with Tiger, same with Jack, same with Hogan, same with Trevino. In so many instances, and even though Scottie Scheffler is understated and very civil, I think it is intimidating to see him hit shot after shot after shot, and know that he's not going to make a mistake. So to answer your question, yes, he couldn't not be in their heads.
And Paulie, players are now getting the Scottie Scheffler questions when they show up at the big championships, just as Ernie and Phil and Sergio did 25 years ago with respect to Tiger.
Yeah, I mean, you know, game knows game, and when you hear those guys talking in such high tones about Scottie Scheffler, you know that he's a factor and he's living in their head. And it's very dispiriting as a competitor when you're going head to head against a guy who doesn't make mistakes and he doesn't give you an inch. And you know, it's like in boxing, you know, you talk about boxers. I hit him with everything I got and the son of a gun just wouldn't go down. And you know, that's dispiriting as a boxer. And it's the same in the golf course. When you're playing against a guy who does not make mistakes and just slowly eats away, like the tide, relentlessness, just slowly eats into the golf course, nicks a shot here, puts it in the bank, misses a green, gets up and down, makes a number of pars, gets to a par 5, makes another birdie, puts it in the bank. Yeah. And that relentlessness, that's dispiriting. And the fact that golf is a marathon and not a sprint. You know, it's a 4-round tournament, particularly in major championships and these tough golf courses. You know, the level of concentration and intensity you need to bring to the game to be the winner is huge. And the guys recognizing that, and that's what makes them so intimidating. It's not just the golf. It's the fact that mentally, the guy just is like, we used to have this game at home called Subbuteo, and they had a little semicircle guy and a footballer on top, and no matter how you hit him open, he came back up again. No matter what you did, the guy just kept up and back up again. And that's what it's like playing against a guy who's on his game. We've all played against him, Brandel. You know, you're playing against a guy in the heat of battle, and he's just, no matter what happens, the guy just keeps coming back. And that's, as a competitor, it's tough to play against that, and it's easy to get that into your head. And, you know, the trick is to try to distance yourself away from that. And as Jack, that's what Jack always talked about. I played the golf course. I had to shoot a number, and if somebody beat me, they beat me, because it's easy to get intimidated, and that's the bit of advice I would give to the current players, you know, old and grey that I am now, is that play your own game, play the golf course, shoot a number, and if Scottie beats you, Scottie beats you, because it's easy to get fed into his energy.
Even Rory, after the lights-out performance at the Wells Fargo in Charlotte on Sunday, acknowledged that, yeah, it was great, but there was a certain guy who was not in the field, talking about Scottie Scheffler. He's going to have to deal with him this week at Valhalla.